Alright, so I wanted to make a quick video on the difference between revising and editing. Revising is when you're adding, subtracting, rewriting, changing, or moving. So the piece that you're working on isn't done yet. You've just stream of conscious, wrote whatever you wanted, maybe you're working off an outline, whatever you're doing, but you've just written it. And now you're reading it and you're like, well, maybe I should add something here, or maybe this doesn't quite sound right and I want to change this. Or if you're writing a short story or something, maybe I want the story to actually start here, and so you're moving whole paragraphs. Editing is when you're looking at a completed project and you're just trying to clean it up a little. So capitalization, usage, punctuation, and spelling. All right, so when it comes to revising, we're going to look at the assignment description. We're going to make sure that we have all the things that we need. So if I'm reading through an essay, I'm going to put a check near my thesis. I'm going to be putting a check near a quote in each paragraph, things like that. So I'm making sure I have all of the pieces. If I'm writing a short story, I'm going to make sure that I have a character. I'm going to make sure that my setting is clear. Whatever it is, to make sure you have all the requirements you need. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to reread what you wrote out loud, okay? And you're going to find lines that seem confusing or things that you want to get rid of or make more clear. And you're just going to start that process of adding things, moving things, just changing things up. When you're done with that, you're going to have someone else read it, and they're going to do the same type of thing. If it's an essay, a research paper, or some sort of informative piece, you're going to have them write what they think the main point is, maybe circle or put star near any evidence you have. Answer the question, are you persuasive or not? Do they follow what you're saying and you've convinced them of it, or no? And then they should put any places where they're confused, because that means we need to add clarity there. If it's a short story, a memoir, a poem, something creative, you can ask them which things caught their attention or interested them. You can ask them what parts didn't interest them. So is there a part in your short story that doesn't need to be there, that just doesn't keep their attention? Which parts did they not understand, or it felt off? They didn't really know what was going on, or maybe with dialogue they didn't know who was talking. Is there anything that should be moved around? Is there anything they're like, this would really be good if you added it here? Turn this back to you, and then you make the final decision whether you're going to listen to the things that they're saying and change them, or whether you want to keep things the way they are. So you go about that, you've revised everything now, and now we can start with editing. So read it aloud and notice any places that you stumble. Try to figure out why. Is it the punctuation that's off? Is it a fragment? Is it a run-on? Usually if we're stumbling through something, it's not written in the most clear way, and we could take out some of the wordiness and make that better. Look at the checklist, which we'll look at in just a second, and make sure that all those things are correct. Capitalization, punctuation, usage, spelling, syntax, and then fix anything you run into. Then have someone else do the same thing, and this time definitely fix it. So unless they're completely wrong about commas or something, if you're having someone edit your paper, you're going to want to take those because they're not really suggestions. Whereas the revising, it's suggestions. So our editing checklist, you're looking at capitalization. So we want to capitalize I, always. We want to capitalize the beginning of a sentence, always. Things like countries, towns, cities, books, movies, artists, songs, anything that is a proper noun, we want to capitalize that as well. Also, the idea of having like English, Spanish, those classes you would want capitalized because they're also countries, or they're from a country, they're specific. Punctuation, does every sentence end with a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark? Does it have some sort of end punctuation? And then look through and see where the commas and stuff need to be. This is a little bit more confusing, but you can watch both the sentences video and the punctuation video to help you with this. But seeing if it's a complex sentence or a compound complex sentence and whether you need those commas in there. But remember, we always use commas in a list, and we always use a comma with a conjunction when we're combining two sentences together. Next, you're going to look at usage, and you're going to make sure that you are using everything correctly. So autocorrect is wonderful unless it puts a word that you don't mean. So you want to make sure the usage is correct that way. And this also applies to things like the your and your, there and there, to, it's and its, making sure you're using the correct one. Then go through and look to make sure everything's spelled correctly. And then syntax, are there run-on sentences? Are there fragments? Remember your types of sentences and try to get them to be varied. Don't have them all start and end the same way. Make sure that you're changing up your sentences as you go. And then you're ready to turn whatever paper, project, etc. in. So you've written it, you've revised it, you've edited it, and now it's all set to go.